YouTube. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm really excited for today's live stream. We've got a wonderful guest here, Naomi Selick, a solo agent up in the Los Angeles area we've been working with for several years, who has some really wonderful processes around the way that she works with her sellers, some really unique circumstances as the dynamics of her business and how tight a focus that she maintains on her market. And she's going to share some really great insights with you all, and we're going to walk through some of the
We've
key
been working with for
components
several years
of the ways
who
that
has
she.
really wonderful
Now I'm getting
processes around the way that
a
she
little bit
works
of
with her
a
sellers, really
dual
unique
setting. Can
circumstances
anybody
as
is
the
anybody hearing me
dynamic
twice,
of business.
unfortunately?
I hear an echo.
Okay, cool. Well, I sure hope that that hasn't unsettled anyone to the point of extreme paranoia, like it might have just me for just a few seconds there. Uh, cool. I think we're all set. I think we got that setting dialed in. Sorry for that. So Naomi, instead of hearing me talk three times, how are you this morning?
Hi, Steve. I'm well. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. I was so glad we just a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago now, our team saw something that you dropped in our Curator Mastermind, a really great use of one of the tools that Curator has built for our clients, but you took it another step further and turned it into a piece of print collateral. And that put like a bit of a bug in our ear, a bee in our ear about, ooh, that's something that we should help folks do a little bit quicker ourselves. But I loved the creativity and the ingenuity that you showed there. But we'll get to that. Will you tell the folks who are watching now just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your journey in the business? How long have you been helping folks buy and sell real estate?
I've been a realtor for about 14 years now. Um, Funny enough, my first career was in advertising. So I always bring that up on listing appointments because, it's kind of I had in my 20s, I worked in advertising. In my 30s, I was a stay-at-home mom. And in my 40s, I got my license and on into my 50s. And I think that background is very helpful to have as I put it on the listing presentation. I have a head for marketing, and then I
I
talk
would
about.
have to imagine so, yeah. I mean, I'd say, I guess it's everywhere now where that mentality is so helpful, but especially in a major media market like Los Angeles, everyone is so used to it's a cleaner presentation, more advanced production in a lot of ways, and so I can see how that would help. And any campaigns, any things that we would recognize from your past life in advertising?
Well, this will really age me. My award-winning campaign from the 90s was for SkyTel pagers. Just imagine anyone can reach you at any time with a device in your pocket.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's that was the tag. That was part of the
No, but
copy.
that was the idea.
That was the yeah, the concept.
Yeah.
So like I mean, it's always interesting because like the differentiation, like now it sounds a little preposterous, right? Just imagine like, oh my God, I wish I could stop imagining how easy it is for everyone to reach me in my pocket all the time. But the such a big part of advertising is differentiation. How do you stand out? How do you make the problem that you solve seem unique, or how do you make the way that you solve that problem different? SkyTel pagers. What was the do you, this is completely off the path of what we're here to talk about, but I'm going to geek out about it a little bit. Was it print media as like t
That was
television spots, or what was
that was
the
mostly TV. But actually, I'll tell you, my real claim to fame is I named the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
what?
That was me. Yeah.
The, I so I grew up loving the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Okay.
I still remember my one of my best friends in high school did not grow up in the part of Central Florida where I did. He'd grown up in the Northeast. I remember at some point we were connecting over like, what are the stuff that you liked when you were a kid? And like he said, like his parents literally did not w let him watch the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Hmm.
I was like,
I
oh,
don't
but
blame
I
them.
was so I grew up in a fairly, let's say, religious area. And so I was like, oh, I bet it was like the violence. He's like, no, my dad just didn't want me to like bad stuff. So he
Mm.
wouldn't let me
You
watch. I was like,
you
well,
had good taste. Yeah. Well, yeah. To clarify, so it was a TV show in Japan that had
Right.
whatever the name was in Japan, but then they wanted an American name. I worked for the ad agency that represented the toys that were being made. And so they wanted what's a good name in the United States. So we
Yeah.
did focus groups for, what are words that, kids in this age group think are really cool. And we also had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Absolutely.
as a client. And
Yeah.
so literally my instructions were 4 words, 2 syllables each, and use a combo of these words that are considered cool. So that's how it happened.
I need you to know, like that fills me with such a sense of relief to know that because I've all it's like it's the same cadence, it's the same. I was like, I've always thought it's almost like I mean the way
It's almost
ChatGPT,
like they
I was like,
copied
what's
them.
the formula? What's
Yeah.
the formula to create the best? I was always like, I bet it sounds so similar.
Yeah.
It's clearly, I would say derivative, but it's like there was probably someone going, well, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sounds great. How do we do? And now I'm talking to the person who said these adjectives, mighty and morphin. Those are the ones.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really cool. So now you said you've been in real estate for 14-ish years,
Yep.
working around, you said the Beverlywood area of
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
So I'm a what I would call a hyper local neighborhood farmer. So I mostly sell in the one zip code, 90035 zip code,
Hmm.
which is Beverlywood and a few small neighborhoods around it. It's where I live. It's where my kids go to school. It's where I belong to a synagogue. It's where, I see people I know every time I go to a restaurant, to a grocery store, whatever. So,
Sure.
um, I think that's one of the reasons why the flyer that I created from the seller report was impactful because people really do already know me. And look, it's not like I don't take business outside of Beverlywood. Beverlywood is adjacent to Beverly Hills. It's just south of it. So I certainly do sales in Beverly Hills and
Sure.
in Santa Monica and, surrounded mid-city, anywhere within basically West LA. But I do tend to get the most business in my own neighborhood because, as we all know, you get more of what you do.
Absolutely. So I'll take a second just to show off that the flyer that we're referencing. And so this was like send it you sent to your farm to the neighborhood, uh print it out and mail it, or it's how do you I guess just distribution. We'll show off a little bit of the actual sheet itself. Just sold over $1 million over the list price. A beautiful home, by the way, I gotta say. I
Well,
love
they're
the
tearing it down.
Are they really?
Yeah.
They bought it for $5.7
Mhm.
million so they could tear it down to wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Well,
It's all about the lot. It's all
it's a,
about the lot in Beverlywood. The lot is considered very large,
okay.
being over 10,000 square feet, which means you can build a
A,
very large home there.
a palatial home, perhaps.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, what I basically did here was take the seller report, which I really love. I've been a curator client, I think more than 10 years. And the email tool is the number one thing that I use. That is really my main marketing tool. I love free marketing. So I've just been extremely consistent about sending out one email a week. I don't segment it. I know that, a lot of people advise to do that. But to me, it doesn't matter if you're a buyer or a seller or just someone in the neighborhood who's curious about real estate. Um, I, I just want to touch you once a week and let you know what I'm up to. And if it's, so I'll either send a just listed or a just sold so I can, show that I'm busy. Or when I don't have that to send, then I'll send a piece of educational content. Either I'll look through the emails that you guys create and I'll copy and paste that and send it. I also subscribe to Keeping Current Matters. And a lot of times I will send out their educational content. And I get actually a lot of comments of people saying that they really like my marketing, and it's not like other realtors, and it's actually helpful. And I see you're scrolling through now, and I do have four audiences, but I send
Yeah.
to all of them every time. And the real one, the best one is the leads and the new, the ones that I call
Yeah.
leads and the ones that I call new. That's my local people. The other two are last year I started experimenting with getting, kind of going into different neighborhoods and getting leads different ways, and they were not
Yeah.
as successful. But you can tell that from the open rates. If you
It's
look, the first
wild.
two, yeah, I mean, look, 65%, they're usually around 50, sometimes
Yeah, you're right.
higher.
This 12 months audience and this new audience are consistently at and near 50% opens and really significant click-through rates as well. Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, just to backtrack. So email is my number one marketing touch point. And the Curator platform makes that super easy. And I connect it with Follow Up Boss. I kept Follow Up Boss as opposed to Lofty, just because number one, I didn't want the Lofty feature of kind of doing things automated. That doesn't work for me in my market. My market is quite high end, as you can tell from, a tear down selling for over 1 million over the list price.
Yeah,
Um, and I just felt like if 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 somebody receives something that doesn't make any sense for them, that the computer wanted to send, or the algorithm, whatever, the AI wanted to send them,
sure.
that I would lose trust. I think, I know a lot of curator clients have a very different marketing philosophy. They have huge teams, and they do, hundreds and hundreds of deals, and they can just, kind of play that numbers game. But for me, it's more targeted. So I really want to have control over the messaging that people receive. So yeah, back to the flyer. Basically, I love the email tool, and I love the seller report tool. I think it's very helpful. As I think you guys first called it something like the "Don't Fire Me" report,
That's
and
yeah, yeah.
it's
The
great. I
internal
mean,
term was the "Don't fire me" report
yeah.
to help your sellers know what are you doing? What's my agent doing to sell my home? We work with really great agents who are genuinely getting the word out, but like you said, you can't rely on the algorithm to craft all of the content for you and make it sound how you would actually sound to a specific market. You can't rely on the algorithm to show the seller, oh yeah, you posted on Facebook about it. Unless they're going to your Facebook page, unless they're going to your Instagram, they're probably just scrolling, and you can't trust the algorithm to necessarily put it in front of them. You got to showcase the whole width and breadth of what you're doing, and we wanted to make it easy for our clients to do that.
Yeah, it's really, really a fabulous tool. It's blown away the clients when I've shown it to them. And and I say, look, I can tell you quite sincerely, there is nobody else in this market doing this. So when they see these numbers, it really helps. If I do need a price reduction or whatever, like, look, obviously it's not because the marketing isn't reaching people,
Right.
so that just takes that off the table. So it's great for when you're in escrow, but it's also great for getting listings. So I make it a practice now when I have a possible listing appointment, to send an email saying, here's some info about me, and here's a recent sale with an example of all of the marketing that I did for your neighbor, which
Mm.
enabled us to sell for X over list price with 12 offers in 5 days, or, whatever the stats are. So it's a great pre-listing tool. By the time I get there, a lot of times it's, wow, we were blown away. Basically, where do we sign? So that's really nice.
That's a pretty great response to get. Yeah.
So then, yeah, I just started thinking, how else can I use this tool? Because it really is a great tool. So I can use it, in escrow with a seller to make them happy. I can use it listing appointment to impress the, potential client. And then I thought, why not market my marketing, as you guys say, and instead of just sending out a typical just sold, um, why not show them what I did to get it sold? So I turned the stats that are in the marketing report into a flyer. Just most people probably maybe would do a postcard, which you could totally do. I've just found in my little market, I have somebody who can print and deliver, in a very short time frame. And I
Yeah.
don't have to give them addresses. It's just, it's just very easy. And I also find, they put it on the doorstep. People have to bend over and pick it up, as opposed to going through your junk mail where you just go out, 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 out.
Same as the email inbox. All right. Like there's just so many. How are you going to
Right.
stand out? It's like, well, if you have a way to not be in the inbox, if you have a way to be on the doorstep,
Yeah.
take it. Yeah.
So I like flyers. And I added a few things that are not in the standard report. Like I did a video
Yes.
and I put some money behind it. To me, that is the best money you can spend. I mean, if you spend like $200 promoting a listing video, you'll get, like 15,000 views. And to a seller to hear that 15,000 people watched the video of my house is worth $200, even if none of them are actual buyers.
Right. Right. Well, I had a chat with Amit Buddha recently where he talked about one of his strategies where he literally and it's such a he's found the markets where you can get the most views for the smallest ad buy on YouTube.
Mm.
And he targets it at and he's in Miami. And
Hmm.
so I would say that this works especially well. This would work for your market as well, where there are folks all over the world who are interested in Los Angeles real estate. I mean, it's like turn on the TV to like an HGTV type show. A lot of the stuff's going to be around an LA or a Miami type place. And he targets his ad for the first day at the lowest cost per view spot, gets him tens of thousands of views. And then that helps him in the algorithm. Then more people are seeing it. And then when people are looking for things in Miami, he's like, oh, well, that video already has 45,000 views. It must be legit. So I click on that one rather than the other one. So for
Ah, that is really good info. Yeah.
so do with that what you will. I don't think it's outright. I don't think it's a bad practice. I don't think it would work for everybody necessarily, but I think it's a really clever way of buying your way into a little bit of social that social belief. It's like, oh, you just see, oh, there's a little bit of that. There's already that force multiplier effect of lots of people are already seeing it. I'll trust this video too. It might work a little bit differently for a listing video specifically than for a neighborhood or more of an evergreen video concept.
Hmm.
But I think it might help, like you said, any seller's going to see, oh my God, pe- that many people saw the video that you made about the house. Well, that's a great investment.
Right. Yeah. And so just to be specific, the numbers that are on here. So what is, sort of the boilerplate for the curator marketing report is basically Facebook and Instagram ads, right?
Yep,
So
that's right.
that's already in there. So and then I do some extra ones on my own stories, etc. So, it's just nice to have a bunch of things to go, oh wow, she did a whole bunch, even if
Hmm.
it's, really uh, you know, pretty simple. And then so I did the YouTube, and then I do ad roll retargeting ads for just listed. And you can get those numbers and put them in. So I did that too. And just keeping to how many open house visitors, how many offers, how many flyers delivered.
And even cash offers there, right?
Yeah.
So a full, you're painting the full picture. You're telling the complete story.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I love about the seller report by itself, and then what you've added onto it is seller report allows you. It's a multi-purpose tool. you can use it as the seller communication device throughout the actual process. And I've seen clients customizing it and add it like the way that you've added these stats here: two open houses, over 100 visitors, 12 offers in 6 days. I can see that being the feedback being about the open houses while it's still on the market, and then coming back in and adding this information here. The
Hmm.
YouTube property video, we've talked about Dean Linnell creating his monthly market update and even doing kind of a deep dive on that property's performance compared to other similar properties in the market that are also for sale at the time. And so using it as a full communication strategy and just pointing your seller to that, as well as having the ongoing conversations with them, but just giving them a destination where I'm curious how it's going. Oh, there it is. I've got this dedicated link that I can go to see how it's going. But then
Yeah.
the way that you've A, added the print media aspect, and then B, all effectively turned it into a mini case study without even having to take it to the blog, without even having to like, so I think it's a really great use. And then to take it to print and showcase that story in a new way as well. It's a really clever way of tapping into the tool.
Thanks. Oh, the other thing that I did, which was new for me, is I added the QR code. So if someone just wants to look at the flyer and get the gist of it, that's fine. But if they want to actually see the full marketing report, and then they can scan it. And so I got 35 scans, which is not huge, but guess what? I got another $5 million listing from one of those 35 people. So
Tough
it
to argue with that.
yeah.
That's the mentality is so challenging, and I'm curious if anybody's watching with the like. I think we all feel this way, whether you're publishing things on social media, publishing videos on YouTube, or it's like I know that I printed 2,000 things, and I didn't get that many I didn't get that many responses when I added the QR code. But the agents that I speak to that find that positivity and like, look, how often are you in a room with 2,000 people? Never. It would take so long to have those one-on-one conversations. So to get 30 people to check it out and to get, it was like, yeah, honestly, that was probably a really efficient use of your time and money. It turns out it does. Like it can feel like, oh, there's a lot of people not engaging with it. There's a lot of people not necessarily scanning, but those who do, it's such a significant leap to what can happen next. So I love that perspective.
Yeah, I think you have to be pretty motivated to, take out your phone and scan a QR code. So,
At least hungry.
yeah, yeah.
But as far as a real estate flyer, as far as a just sold flyer, it's like, yeah, that's it. It takes a level of true interest and the follow through to see like, oh, I wanted to check in on this. It's not much of a looky-loo thing. I think there is a level of genuine interest there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so I loved that you shared this in our mastermind, and this is a cool thing. Like we were inspired by you taking inspiration from us that we've now Danielle on our team has created a template for the print version.
This
We're
is so
talking with
great. I love
we're
it.
talking we're talking with our team. I'm actually excited to say I'll spill the beans on this right now. Like one of the things that you mentioned was adding the YouTube stats. That's a thing that our product team is incredibly close to shipping right now, is actually just having YouTube stats are going to be pulled in automatically as well, that you'll be
Oh,
able to
good.
have. So I'm really excited for that. Another thing that's on the roadmap would be, can we turn the seller report into a PDF that you could download? But we took inspiration from your design here, and Danielle and her team are wonderful and created this Canva template that you can pretty quickly take the stats that you've got. You can adjust the copy. You can make whatever. You can showcase whatever stats you'd like, and swap out the logo for your own brokerage's logo, for your team's logo, add the QR code if you want. So I just wanted to say thank you for your creativity, for your advertising prowess, and taking off with this, because now we're able to offer that as a pretty quick way for our clients to leverage not just the digital seller report, but turn it into a really great piece of print as well.
Yeah, I love it that you guys did that.
Yeah. So I know you've got, I don't think it's any surprise in real estate. Sometimes there are things going on with the actual part of your business. So I'm just so grateful to you for taking the time today. Behind the scenes for everybody who's watching, we got on a couple of minutes early, and Naomi said to me, "I just need a minute because we're going into closing with a deal that I've been working on, and I've got some stuff that I need to get on that." I said, "Truly?" If you need, like, your business is more important, and so you're very gracious to stick with us. But I know you might have some things going on. Do you have any last words of advice or thoughts that you want to share, as far as the overall way that you work with your clients? I know, like you said, you have a unique market and dynamic that is, honestly, to me, refreshing. And we use a lot of automation tools. We work with AI and craft AI. Literally, our session last week was on, like, how to work with AI better to make it sound more authentic and like you. But the way that you get to and prioritize crafting really specific messages for your neighbors, for your community, is something I love personally, and wish that there was more opportunity for. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit? Do you have any words of advice or processes that you embrace, as you maintain that authenticity in your marketing?
I try to pick and choose, what tools that will help me. I don't for here, I think this is a very good example while still not automating things totally.
Hmm.
So a good example is, I mentioned I worked in advertising, so my job was I was a copywriter. Like, I'm literally the person that was hired to write the copy. So you would think if anyone is good at writing listing descriptions, it would be a professional copywriter.
You would think that it
And
stands
yet,
to reason.
so I thought I was like, when AI and people started saying they're using AI for listing descriptions, I was like, why would I need that, right? But a few listings ago, I thought, you know what? I'm curious. I'm gonna write my best listing description, and then I'm gonna throw it into ChatGPT and say, can you make this sound more elegant? Because
Yeah.
high-end listing, I want. And he rewrote it. It rewrote it, and I said to myself, damn if that's not better. So I think, and I tweaked it a little. I go, now, except for that little part, I'm going to take that out, whatever. So I think the key is not to rely on automation, not to rely on technology, but to use it to just take what we already are good at and make it even better.
That's the thing. It needed what you wrote to write it better.
Hmm.
If you'd fed it something worse and you'd said make it better, yeah, it also could have made it sound more elegant, but the what you gave it to start with is incredibly important. I think one of the coolest things about the technology itself is that the long-term ability to build the context where it knows what you like, it knows what you sound like over time, and you really can kind of dial that in. I mean, you referred to it as a he already. I was talking with Mindy Jones, and she said, like, I call him my boyfriend sometimes. Like, we have this odd long-term potential dynamic with this tool. It's not the end all be all, but it is an opportunity to craft, adjust the messages that you're crafting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I
even
agree.
from a pro copywriter.
And actually, there's one more thing I was thinking. If you could pull up the flyer one more time.
Absolutely. You have got it right here.
So I think, we all understand the importance of marketing. That we just take that as a given. That's why, we hired a company like Curator because we know how important it is. But I think it's not necessarily true that every seller understands, well, what exactly how will marketing help me sell my house for the best price, which
Hmm.
is what they care about. So I basically distilled the philosophy into two sentences here. And this is what I say at every listing appointment. The more people who see your property, the more offers you are likely to get, which leads to the highest possible price. If you want to get this many eyeballs on your property, you need a marketing expert. So that explains to them, if you've convinced them in the listing presentation that, look at this amazing marketing. Do you think anyone else is having, 12,000 views of their listing video? Once they see that, and then you connect it to why, what the marketing can do for them, which is all that matters. That has been a very successful approach for me.
It's both a non-controversial take, but the way that you lay it out, they're probably going, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." But and they it's one of those things like, "Yes, I understand that," but you're giving them the words to very quick, like, "Oh yes, of course. You're right. That is, I do want that." Like it is a very comprehensible, easy to go on journey
Yeah,
that, yeah, I love it. It simplifies right. It's a matter of a copywriter would know that it's not about saying a sentiment that's never ever been heard before. It's about saying something that is true, feels true, but puts it in like there's an economy of language about it that makes it really easy to digest and go, "Oh yeah, of course, that's what I want."
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And you said it. So thank you. Thanks. That's exactly what I want. Do you mind if I ask, like, as a solo agent, I know that you've got to have some support. You've got to have some support. I know with Curaytor, you've got a little bit of a team. I think you've got at least one VA. Can you talk just a little bit about how you maximize your minutes? I know you stay busy and you're a solo agent, so I just think it's an opportunity to learn from the way that you structure and strategize and act on all these different great marketing concepts, and serving your clients is of course job one. How do you handle all of that as a solo agent?
Sure. Well, I guess one of the benefits of being a solo agent in a relatively high-end market is I don't have to sell 50 homes to make a good living. I can sell 25 million selling 9 homes. So it's more, quality over quantity, but I
Sure.
still obviously want to save my time and energy for, the high level activities, speaking to as many potential clients and clients as I can. Negotiating, showing homes, etc. So I have a transaction coordinator who just works on a deal by deal basis, handles, getting all the paperwork signed. And then I have a virtual assistant who's in the Philippines, who's been working with me for many years, who's very familiar with the Curator platform. So he does a lot of, and he's also on a, as needed basis.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so it's great. It's just I can ask him to do anything from, oh, here's a whole, I mean, building up my email list to
Hmm.
my local neighborhood was probably the most important thing I've done in my career. And I was very lucky 14 years ago that on day one, my mentor that I was assigned to at my brokerage told me that. He said, this is what you should be doing right away. Collect every email from every person you've ever met and put it in the database. So I do that. And I mean, I'm a freak about it. Like I get the schools that, my kids go to. I ask my friends whose kids go to other schools for their list. Of course, you're not supposed to use any of those lists, but throw all those emails in there and, all the local, basically, any group that has a directory, they're in my list.
Yeah.
And so it's literally everyone in my neighborhood is in my list. And I get calls, people I've never spoken to, never met, come list me. And I was like, great. So just
How
curious,
did you find me? How did you hear about me?
how you connected to me and to these, like, I've been receiving your emails for years. Obviously, you're the best in the area. And I'm like, oh, all right, great.
It's like, you said it, not me. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Like I actually I want to showcase one that you mentioned earlier, that like that you'll send like a just sold email. And when I was looking through the stats, I noticed this really great email that just while we're here, that not just the email but also what it links to. but we talked before about that differentiator. Just sold no capital gains tax. Oh, that's an interesting like that's got a hook to it. That's got it's not every just sold has that level of context immediately after. There's something unique about it. And then so I'm curious, is this an all Naomi original? Is this one workshopped a little bit with like what's
This
the
this is an all Naomi original.
I quite like the way that it's been written. So and if it hadn't been, I would still say that this is a really compelling personal sounding story. That also it's again it's accessible, but like there's clear expertise and care just kind of communicated throughout the language here. And then I love the use of this card taking folks to we mentioned before, you can use the seller report as like a mini case study, but here you've got more of a like a full here's the featured listing page on the site,
Yeah.
which I think looks great as well. So I thought that that was a really great email, and then just a display of a featured listing page
I can
on your.
just imagine a curator client in a, in a city, another city looking at this, which looks like a crack house and being surprised that it sold for 1,650,000.
The differences in markets and home values is always a bit astonishing.
Yeah.
And just to anyone who's wondering, I will say that whatever it looks like to you, the weather is worth it.
I think so.
Yeah, it's I mean yeah, it's a beautiful area even if you go, oh, is that really? I'm in San Diego most of the time and I see some of the houses and some of the even the apartments and the condos and I'm like, that is an awful lot of money for a two bed, one bath. That's almost $1 million for
Yeah.
a home that was built in the 1930s that looks like it needs some serious repair
Yeah.
and it's going for near to $1 million. Baffling. But
Location, location, location.
but there's quality of life. There are there's lots of positives as well. But so yeah, I just love the way that you've showcased marketed your marketing in so many different ways. So thank you for being such a great advocate for not just Curator and the tools and the strategies that we teach, but especially for using them so well with your clients and doing such personalized care and service for them. I think
Well,
that's so important.
thank you. I really do love Curator, and I'll give you a little unasked for plug. I'll tell you a little story. When COVID hit, everybody, was freaking out, including me. Like, my husband is also a realtor. He's a commercial realtor.
Oh
So
yeah.
we're 100% commission family living in Los Angeles with three kids in private school and a hefty mortgage. So when we thought, oh, we might not make any money all year, who knows? Like this could bankrupt us. Like we were freaked out. What do we do? Where can we tighten the belt? My husband was going through our bills and he emailed me and said, this is a big expense every month. Maybe this should go on the chopping block. And I said, absolutely not. If anything is going to stay in my budget, it's going to be Curator because that is what I built my business on is the marketing. And they don't just coast. I think you guys had released something that week. I forget what it was, but it was a new innovation. And I said, they are always pushing, always trying to, always on the cutting edge. And this is how I stay on the cutting edge, which is my whole pitch that I'm the agent that does that. And so,
Mm.
no way we're cutting Curator. And then, of course, it ended up being, the best year of business for for my career. Love COVID, but no kidding. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I love the fact that you guys really are always pushing. You're always trying to deliver value.
I really appreciate you saying that. It makes it easy to do when we get to work with clients like you. That's always been such a huge value for me about the opportunity to work with such great clients is it inspires that mentality. I think it's how we attracted a lot of folks like you to be a member of the curator community and be clients. But then it has this reciprocal and symbiotic value of like, well, they stay on the cutting edge, so we've got to too. They're the ones who are doing this really important work, helping people with incredibly important transactions. We've got to make sure that the way that we're supporting them, that we're living up to the potential and the promise that we make, and just want to genuinely offer that type of help. So I really appreciate you saying that, and thank you again so much for joining us. Why on a day where you got to get back to work.
Yeah.
So
All right. Got to go put out some fires. Been really nice talking with you.
so nice talking with you, Naomi. Thank you so much. To everybody who's been tuned in live, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be back next week with another live stream. Thank you. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody.
You
Thanks.
too. Bye bye.